Right. Anybody want to have a question? Please go ahead. Just follow ya.
You know, there's some people that use the tamima. They say I've got arthritis. They use the bronze thing.
So using the bronze or using the copper, it's called copper. The copper bracelet for the arm, for the arthritis. If it is medical wise, I understand. But no doctor had told us that if you put copper on top of your wrist, then you're going to get arthritis cure. This is all of it hoax. So now, what is it then? You put in the copper, it has to be a charm or a talisman, tamima. So this tamima is to be taken out. Even you think that it will, this is something like, I would say, psychological thing. Psychological thing. And I know this psychological thing work a lot. But if it's haram, haram. If it's halal, halal. I'll tell you, the haram way is this one. Halal way is what? Is those people who believe that the water, if they are under possession, from the jinn, that if they drink the water which is, you recite upon it, then it will have an effect. I myself do not adopt that system to recite onto the water. I recite on the person. But to recite on the water and give it, that hasn't been done by the Prophet ﷺ, nor by the companions. I understand that other scholars make it really okay as a cure, but it's not a cure. This is not to do with the ibadah. I'm saying that the Quran doesn't work more except for with water. That's what I'm saying. Which the Quran does work without water. So, this woman, she comes and she says, I want you to recite onto this bottle of water. I said to her, it doesn't work. I don't really do this. She said, no, just recite and I think Allah will give me the cure. So I was behind the curtain. So I said, okay, I will recite in a low tone. So I just was talking to my friend. And then after I finished, about 5 minutes, I said, I've done it. I didn't say I recite, I've done it. I gave it. Following week, this was the class of sisters. Following week, MashaAllah. I felt the cure, wallahi. I felt the cure. MashaAllah, tabarakallah, alhamdulillah, jazakallahu khairan. Can another bottle, please? Wallahi. So I said, wallahi, sister, I did not read in the first bottle. She said, no wonder why. It was not the full cure. Psychology. So no one. She changed her statement now. Then in Luton, I come to visit a friend. And then there's a sister, he comes to his wife. She hears about me inside the house. She said, I want the so-called sheikh, you want to recite the. So I said to my friend, listen, I'm going to teach you something. Said he come, just do like this. Just put the bottle here for 5 minutes, 3 minutes, and then said, you recite it. Really? Yeah. Alhamdulillah. I've been talking. Said, yeah, khalas, we finished. We gave it to her. Following month, I came in and visited her. Said, MashaAllah, very good. The sister, she thinks is really helpful. I'm not saying the sister or the brothers or whatever. Not just the sisters, making fool with sisters, na'udhu billah. But I'm just saying, this is what's happening. This psychological affects the person. Okay? Nah, jazakallah khair.
Bagaimana kalau meminta air doa kepada seorang yang alim? Bolehkah? Karena masih ada di kalangan masyarakat. Sebenarnya kalau minta dibacakan air, belum pernah ada riwayat yang menjelaskan masalah itu ya. Tetapi pendapat sebagian ulama, masalah doa ruqyah. Doa ruqyah. Sudah umum di kalangan para ulama, ya, dinukil dalam buku-buku dari zaman dulu, gitu kan. Kalau mereka meniupkan doa-doa ruqyah itu ke air. Dan Syekh Bibas rahimahullah menyebutkan tentang masalah bolehnya meniupkan bacaan ruqyah ke air dan diusapkan di badan, diminum. Itu bisa dibaca dalam tulisan-tulisan beliau tentang berhubungan masalah itu. Kalau niatnya ruqyah ini, memang doa-doa yang diajarkan Nabi SAW, insya Allah nggak masalah. Tapi kalau setiap ada orang dianggap baik ibadahnya, coba bacain air ini buat saya. Itu nggak pernah ada anjuran untuk itu. Kalau kita memang sakit, ya, kita memang merasa ada gangguan, malas ibadah, sering mimpi buruk, sering ketindihan, ada ciri-ciri sihir di situ, baru kemudian kita lakukan. Dan ingat, kalau kita membaca jauh lebih baik. Kita pribadi membaca jauh lebih baik. Karena bacaan kita dari dalam jiwa kita, dalam diri kita, itu lebih penting, lebih berpengaruh, gitu kan.
Jangan terlalu tergantung sama orang. Oh, kita harus ke ustadz ini, harus ke ustadz anu. Enggak, kita sendiri kita takwa kepada Allah, minta sebelum ruqyah kita berdoa kepada Allah agar disembuhkan. Kita baca. Kita berwudu menghadap kiblat, kita baca, mengobati diri kita, atau kita mengobati keluarga kita, istri kita, anak kita, ya. Karena kita sebagian orang sedikit-sedikit harus pergi ke sana, pergi ke sini, itu yang Kadang-kadang hatinya malah tergantung kepada peruqyahnya. Ya, hatinya tergantung pada peruqyahnya, bukan kepada Allah yang dikhawatirkan. Makanya Rasulullah SAW mengatakan di antara hal yang menghalangi orang masuk surga tanpa hisab adalah al-istirqa. Humul ladzina la yastarqun, itu orang-orang minta ruqyah. Sebagian ulama menafsirkan maksudnya, jika dia minta ruqyah dalam kondisi tidak mendesak, minta ruqyah kepada orang lain, maka ini membuat dia terhalangi dari masuk surga tanpa azab, tanpa hisab. Pendapat yang lain, pendapat yang lain maksudnya jika dia minta ruqyah dalam kondisi hatinya sangat tergantung kepada orang tersebut. Oh, ini kalau ustadz itu yang baca insya Allah sembuh. Kalau asalnya seorang kalau minta ruqyah boleh ke imam masjid di sekitarnya. Tidak perlu harus pergi ke safar ke luar negeri, ke safar ke luar kota, anda perlu. Kalau perlu dia ruqyah dirinya sendiri. Dia baca ruqyah dirinya sendiri. Jadi baca Al-Quran, surat-surat utama, Al-Fatihah, 3 qul, ayat kursi. Sisanya baca surat apa saja, tapi niatnya untuk mengobati. Niat dalam diri untuk meruqyah. Jadi perlu niat, dihadirkan niat tersebut ketika baca Al-Quran. Wallahu a'lam bishawab.